I think that at that time there was also this great feeling that it was the Asian century. The Asian century being together perhaps the African century, being because economic growth was moving towards uh, Asia and Africa, and a lot of economic activity was taking place, and the need for dispute resolution to facilitate this economic growth was there, and it called for first to have people involved with it, and then for these kinds of people to come through is for training to happen. We have all kinds of professionals in the system, and then the other thing is that we also wanted to have top leaders uh, to set the standards of and the discourse on which direction our policies to take, and then how the institute should move. I think that's how it started. After that, we had to actually take these ideas concretely. Then, at that moment, I was the director of the Asian International Arbitration Center. I did a cabinet paper, that is to the Malaysian government, outlining the need to set up this institute, and requesting for funding, not from the government, but from AIAC, to be put in and to form, and we propose to set up a company limited by guarantee. So a company limited by guarantee in Malaysia, because Malaysia, where AIAC is based, requires $1 million and two promoters. So I think the original promoters of the this company was Tun Arifin and myself. Then Tun Arifin dropped out and Dato Kwek. So we carried through, and we had a magnificent launch in 2018, if I remember, just before the general elections, where a lot of people, when we first launched the, 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 the society, the institute, the, the, the reaction and the reception was so great that we were getting all the cream de la cream people to join the institute. Because I think there was, and particularly Singaporeans, we had a lot of Singaporeans who were joining us, but we had it all over Asia. In fact, the list was a very large list. And when we did that, that gave a great sense of confidence to us. But unfortunately, the events came in. I think sometimes we do ourselves in, but they came, some events happened, and then after which COVID came in, and so we were set back. But when the events came in, there was an attempt to actually uh, the, for the institute to be reintegrated back into the AIAC, which I thought it was not a good thing, because this was supposed to be an independent organization, going by itself, having its own personality, and its functions are not the same because it's not an arbitral center. It does arbitral training, dispute resolution training, accreditation. That is the main thing. Even if there is actually any kind of dispute resolution mechanism need, it is more for training purposes rather than to earn money. So I think that was the thing. When we launched the thing, the Secretary General of ALCO at that time, Kennedy Gaston, was the guest of honor. So we had that endorsement from ALCO. Going forth from there, we went through a difficult period in 2000, I believe in 2019. In fact, the secretariat in 2019, 2020 had been quickly moved to Singapore to bear the buffeting that was going on, and we managed to keep it going. I think it was a very difficult period where we were not sure whether the society was going to last, this institute was going to last or not last, but We moved it to Singapore, had the secretariat in Singapore, and it thrived. It was not thrived, but it was maintained. And then I think with after COVID, we decided to actually bring the society back to Malaysia, and then now I think we started with first one person, two persons. Now we have the two persons are gone. We have now one, two, three, four people again. So it's actually taking time. It will take time, but I can see the positive movements, achievements nowadays. I think we have really said that we focus in Asia. That's what we have done. We have gone to Dubai, but we have done more work in China. We have done work in India and also in Asia, Southeast Asia. So I think in that way, it is a young, I mean, relatively young society. So I normally know because when I start societies, normally nobody is interested at the beginning. They only get interested when it becomes a bit more mature. Then the fight for positions come in. So I'm quite sure that this is when it occurs. But I'm very grateful that my colleagues, particularly Dr. Lihu, Christopher Malcolm, Dato Kwek, Mansing, and even my earlier colleagues like James Dindra have contributed so much of their time, so much of their effort, and also the secretariat members have actually retained. We do not interfere with the secretariat. I think the way we are now doing it, we let the secretariat handle. They know their roles. As long as they do what they ask them, we do policy decisions, but they carry it out. But most of it, sometimes they even come back with better ideas than us. Yeah, thank you so much, Sabri.
Thank you, Dato. That was a very interesting start. And very forward thinking at that point of time at this organize this institution. If I can turn on to Dr. Liho, can you explain to us what are the primary duties of the Governance Council and how do you believe these duties contribute to the advancing of AIADR overall missions and objectives?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you. By my understanding, the primary duty of the Council is to guide operations of AIADR and make decisions on the important matters of the institutional development. Actually, with appropriate guidance of the Council, AIADR is developing quickly since 2018. In the first place, the Council members or dispute resolution professionals from different jurisdictions and may put forward reasonable proposals for the institution's development from their different perspective. In the second place, the President of the Council has been playing an important role within the leadership framework of the Council, so that the Council can make decisions effectively, and such decisions can be implemented by the Secretary in time. I think all the work done by the Council is perfect, and the institution is developing well. It's, in my mind, for the operation, for the running of the AIADR, so far so good. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll move on to Dr. Christopher. How would you assess the performance of AIADR Governance Council in achieving its goals during the period from 2018 to 2023? In other words, is the ADR on track? Dr. Christopher, are you there?
Are you hearing me?
You heard the
Are you hearing
question?
me now?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you
Sorry
now.
about that. I was saying that the AIADR has done, I think, very well in a difficult environment. And as we think about it, we must reflect that the time of the development of AIADR has coincided with one of the most difficult periods that the world has seen in recent times, the period relating to COVID and all the things we're coming through that. And to have been able to go through that period, still retain membership, and have areas of growth, still being able to expand into new relationships on the memoranda of understanding, and still have persons out there clamoring for services to be provided, is testament to the work that has been done. Clearly, there's still a lot to be done, and we're working on that. And the other thing I need us to remember is that what has been embarked upon is a program, an initiative that has a long way to go. These things, you don't get immediate results overnight. So the assessment is not always easy to see from outside. The question is, what are the infrastructure developments that have been done? How robust are the rules that have been developed? How robust are the back-end systems that have been implemented? And I would say, as a governance council member, from where we sit and from what we've been seeing happening back end, we are well ahead of the curve in that regard. And we're expecting that over time, the gains will start to develop more and more as greater effort is then placed on the marketing and all the other things that have to go with that. But I think the strategic role that has been played to date has clearly been to ensure that we do not have a position where we're selling to the market a product which is not back end well supported. And in that regard, I think we've done exceptionally well. Thank you.
So we are on track. Mr. Ma, if I can ask you, what are the current trends in the dispute resolution sector, and how would you anticipate these trends to influence AIADR strategies? You're muted. Could you unmute yourself? We can't hear you.
Yes, thank you, Morita. Yes, I found AI, artificial intelligence, and online dispute resolution ODR are the future trends of ADR. And for the time being, the AI can provide speedy and less costly services in assisting the functioning of ADR process mechanism. Online dispute resolution or ODR will use the digital services in virtual meeting, submission, discovery of document. So communication and information retrieval will be much enhanced. With the later AI development, we may use the, robot operators or mediator to make decision or agree suggestion for simple or no value dispute via ODR. It is well to take some time to study both of them. Therefore, I think the Institute AIADR may pay emphasis on AI application to ADR, particularly in the field of ODR. In fact, the Institute is now doing so and may launch a scheme soon. Besides that, also, sport arbitration may be another area the Institute has to play a role. The Institute is planning a sport law arbitration courts to collaborate with the Court of Arbitration for Sport CAS. This should be a good start. And also, the environmental social governance ESG program is also a very popular topic in the past few years. So the Institute may take a part of it. In fact, the Institute has planned for it too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ma. I think yes, the Institute is quite forward thinking in that. I think we have had some webinar series on AI, sports law, uh, even ESG. I think they had some training programs. Dato, go back to you. As you look back on your 5, 6 years with AIDR, how how does the current state of organization compare to your initial expectation when you founded the institution in 2018? What were the, we heard the challenges, but how did you then overcome them?
Thank you, Samrit. When we first started the institute, it was with great optimism. The numbers were very large, joined. I think to a large extent, it filled the void. So everyone thought that this could be the institute, and with the promoters, they thought that this is a credible group of people putting it. Therefore, it was up. But I think the next step that happened was basically COVID came in. And when COVID came in, there was very little activity except for webinars. And also, we had problems of retaining secretariat staff. So I think after COVID, what happened was that the first emphasis was to get experienced staff who could actually come in to help. So we then recruited 2 staff who are not with us now, but from the 2 staff, we now created the current secretariat. I think the real challenge of our kind of institute is to have a stable secretariat. That's the first thing. Second thing is that financing has always been an issue. While we have a large reserve, but reserve means you can't eat into it, but you must actually have enough activities to continue to replenish reserves, but expect some loss at the beginning. So basically, the real challenge now to us is to look at our model, try to bring all these courses in and see whether we can bring in a profit element to strengthen the finances of the institute itself. I think many of us are contributing in different ways. Will be services, maybe give rent-free premises. We try to actually, we get a lot of invitations for us to speak and all this thing. We try not to use the institute's money to go towards that. So I think in that way, we have tried our best to do what we think is right. But the real promise is what is happening around us and where we want to be. So I think one of the things that we've been pushing very hard is the promotion of ADR education. So that we have now started to even look at educational institutes. So we are now moving to tie up with people who actually deliver education, and we start to enter into agreements with them to accreditate uh, their their uh, their qualification and their courses up with our inputs. So we have done this in China. We are now doing it in Malaysia. We will keep on doing it in various other places, so that we will have the membership joining us. So it is we are looking at it. In fact, we are even looking at a possibility of if there is a need to a marketing office in places like China, where we can actually have a representative office and then able to organize the events there itself. I think this is the maybe one of the future. The other thing is to persuade all these very senior people who may feel that who coming to support us will be very, very uh, uh, exemplary, so that people will say that, oh, yes, we should join this institute.
Thank you, Dato. The institute also organized training courses and all that. And I believe that they have done some mediation training courses, 2 or 3 training courses with the international accreditation, IMI accreditation. So kudos to the institute. Dr. Yu, if I can go back to you, do you have any specific expectations or recommendations for the future strategic direction of AIADR?
Thank you. For the arbitration service, China has been and will continue to be a big market. Especially under the One Belt, One Road initiative. Outward focused Chinese enterprises need transnational systems from foreign or international institutions, both in ADR training and in resolving their commercial maritime disputes. So in my mind, it is helpful for AIADR to strengthen friendly cooperation with the Chinese ADR community. In practice, in Chinese mainland, a large quantity of the foreign-related or international disputes are still submitted to SHITAG and CIMAC for arbitration by the agreement of the parties. It is also necessary for AIADR to further deepen the bilateral cooperation with SHITAG and CIMAC. If I remember rightly, SHITAG has also signed the good cooperation with AIADR. And just in February of the year, CIMAC also signed corporate agreement with AIADR. So in my capacity of the vice chairman of CIMAC, I'm always willing to promote the cooperation between our 2 institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I think there's a huge area to look into China and to train with the institutes there. Dr. Christopher, how would you envisage AIADR maintaining its competitive edge and significance in the continuing evolving landscape of dispute resolution? How can AIADR be any different?
It's a good question for the simple reason that as you'd imagine, it's a changing landscape, and what you really have to do in this landscape is to make adjustments as the circumstances require. Now, it requires some prospective thinking, clearly, but I think the one thing that will always remain is that you will always have disputes. That's one. Second, you will always have the need for training that can allow for persons to effectively provide the type and quality of services that people require. The changing area really will be around where people feel the types of ways in which they wish to have their disputes settled, whether they may be more physical, more online, more blended, whatever the case may be, and also, more importantly, the level of confidence that people are prepared to place in institutions and in the persons who provide services for or on behalf of those institutions. So in order to retain its competitive advantage, a short answer coming out of that long is that AIADR has to do what it is doing and do it much better, even, which is to ensure that we stay on top of the curve where training and the development of professionals is concerned. And it is for that reason, among others, that I think that AIADR has already been on a very good trajectory because of the focus that has been placed on building professionals, and in the process as well, building professionals who are committed to the way of doing things that AIADR is developing. Because in training, you're not just training people to build capacity, technical skills. you're also training persons to build in them a way of doing things and trying to get them into understanding the sort of thinking that drives particular ways going forward. And I think as well, what AIADR must do to remain competitive and is already doing and can do more is to ensure that there's no desire to remain insular. And there's a recognition that the world really is a space for us to operate in. And we already see that happening. So though AIADR is functionally operating from within Malaysia, as has been said, there are tentacles going into China, into parts of Africa, into even the Caribbean where I'm at. I mean, I'm here literally 13 hours behind you at the moment. But it shows the nature and spread and what it is that can be done using electronic and other means. And that is something which I'd say, you know, and getting back to something that said earlier, that you have the traditional institutions, the CIADR and so on, the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, who have over time, strangely enough, become even more insular in how they think. So even though they appear to be expansionists, their thinking becomes more and more Eurocentric and less prepared to accept the nuances and required variants for treating with people from different parts. So AIADR is filling that void and can do that filling much better by recognizing that even within expansion, even within developing core values, there's a place for recognizing that there are nuanced differences from place to place, and we need to ensure that we recognize those. We spend time engaging with people from various backgrounds, various places, by reference to what their needs on ground are, and see how it is that we can effectively represent it. That is happening. More of it can happen, and the more of that we do, is the greater the competitive advantage is going to be that we're able to keep and move forward building on. Thanks.
Thank you. Very elaborate and well said. So it is safe to say that ADR is different from other institutions. If I can go to Mr. Han, Mr. Han, what would you consider as most crucial changes that AIADR needs to make to ensure its ongoing effectiveness and relevance? Or do you think that ADR is on track and we just have to sharpen what we have started?
Thank you, Sanvif. Thank you for your question. And firstly, I think the institute, AIADR, should have its own distinctiveness from other institutes, locally or internationally. For example, we should focus on training ADR practitioners and promoting ADR in the region. In so doing, may be perceived as a separate entity doing a different function, say different from AIAC, which is mainly an appointing body. The institute, AIADR, should do more promotion and training for those practitioners in other regions, like India and Africa, Middle East, or even One Belt, One Road countries, and organize more collaboration activities with other arbitration institutes in the regions. In so doing, it may increase the membership in other Asian and African regions. The third, other than promotion and training, the Institute AIADR welcomes practitioners in other Asian jurisdictions to join the governing council. In so doing, the Institute AIADR services will be more representative and recognized as an international ADR learned society. As said in my view, AI, artificial intelligence, and online dispute resolution, ODR, will play a very important role in conducting ADR in the future. Particularly, the logistic and communication will be much enhanced in the ADR process at the very initial and recent stage of AI development. The Institute AIADR should keep pace with the ever-changing AI revolution to meet the future challenges. The Institute AIADR, I think, is now on the right track and is a planned similar strategy in operating the same. Thank you.
Thank you for that. If I can just ask some general questions, and feel free, whoever can jump into to answer this. Um, what are the notable achievements or milestones at AIDR that you would like to share? Maybe I start with Dato.
I think something that has been very consistent and is developing better and better is the publications. The first is, of course, we have never missed the bulletin, which is the Centurion. And then I think the other one that is actually becoming better and better is the journal. In fact, I think the quality of the articles have improved tremendously. So, in fact, I think, at least in this part of the world, in Asia, we seem to, there's normally sometimes there will be somebody coming out with a journal. It will go on for about 2 issues, after that it disappears. But so far, I think, thanks to the Secretariat, the hard work that they put in, the journal and the newsletter seemed, which is the Centurion, the name, it has been so consistent. So I think this is something that we must actually pat the Secretariat on the back and say that, well done. It's actually something that we should be proud of. And soon, I expect, in fact, I think we have been pushing for it to be peer reviewed in a way so that it can become academically acceptable, while it's also a journal and materials published in it is something for the knowledge and dissemination of knowledge, but more importantly, it is also recognized it is of knowledge of a high quality.
Dr. Malcolm, would you like to share any of the milestones that you think is notable?
For me, and getting in a very basic way, I think the most notable achievement, beyond some of the things that we've heard, because those are laudable in any space at all, I think is that from the very beginning of AIADR, there was a desire to be diverse in its membership and in the regions that it served. And I think in that regard, I know I've already said something sort of reflecting that, but I wish to emphasize it for its importance. That a notable achievement from the outset was that, look, we're based in Malaysia, but we look outwards, and we are regional, but not insular. And that, for me, simple as it might sound, is perhaps one of the biggest achievements we could have had. Because we see other institutions over a century old that have certainly, even when they say that they're serving the globe, there is still within them an ambition to be less caring and concerned about other spaces, and in fact to try to find a way to make things more insular rather than more expansive. And the other thing that I think is critical is that if you were to look behind to see how, for example, the governance rules and so on have been developed, those have been developed by reference to a collaborative process and by reference to multiple voices coming in, which is not always what you see coming out of institutions, because very often in a lot of institutions, you have persons who are prepared to say, well, this is the way I want it, my way, the highway, and that's the end of that story. In AIADR, there has been deliberate effort made to ensure that voices are heard and that voices are represented with a common goal in mind and with an objective being to build out a supported as well as a supportive community of practitioners and of minds in the field of ADR that can help to propel us further. And I think over time, and certainly we're seeing more and more of that happening, we're going to see the real fruits of that labor as the institution grows, and as it grows by reference to a framework which was solid and which was deliberately intended to be expansive rather than contractive in how it operates.
Really gratifying to know that, the words you say, the voices, you're heard in all the regions that are involved in AIDR. If I could hear from Mr. Ma.
Thanks for the question, for sharing. I think in the future I will anticipate the membership of the AIADR will be increasing, covering some more jurisdictions, and the Institute will invite practitioners from other Asian countries to join the governing council. And for improvement, the Institute AIADR should provide more chances for members to get involved in acting as arbitrators or mediators or other type of neutral, third-party neutral. With the development of ODR, online dispute resolution, I think the Institute may play a more important role in the appointment process mechanism in the future. In so doing, it enables the engagement of more members with the Institute. Thank you.
Dr. Wu, would you like to add on?
Well, and for the specific change or improvements for the AIADR in the coming years, one point I want to say that actually I hope AIADR may play important role in formulation of international arbitration rules. As we know, the arbitration rules are very important for the conducting of international arbitration. The ancestral arbitration rules has been adopted popularly by many international arbitration institutions. So I think AIADR may consider to formulate the model international arbitration rules from the perspective of the Asia Pacific region and the fair reference of the arbitration institutions in the region. So that's my point. Thank you.
I'm sure you all will take note of all this, and I'm sure we'll work towards that. If I can just end the question by asking, Dato, what are your visions for the future development and growth of AIADR as an organization?
Thank you, Samrit. It is what we originally planned, that VR will become an important component of alternative dispute resolution, education, and accreditation in Asia and Africa. I think that is the vision that we want. We want to be the organization that actually brings people together, especially from China, from India, from Southeast Asia, from Central Asia, from the Middle East, all together, including from Africa. So that, and also to make this education more widely available, we also want to actually encourage people to participate in the activities and become more confident, so that we do not actually rely so much on the more traditional institutes, and then it is actually to provide an alternative. I think that is the vision. The alternative vision is the vision because we are going to be number one, Asia and Africa.
Thank you, Dato. Are there any questions online?
So far, there are no questions. Maybe we could just give about a minute or so if anybody wants to send any question in for any of our panelists. We would love for you all to ask any questions. The panelists are free to answer, and they're more than glad to address any of the concerns of the members.
In the meantime, maybe we can ask the other candidates whether what is your take on, or what is your vision for the future of AIADR? You can ask Mr. Hu.
Well, thank you. I want to say something more. So in the future, along with the bilateral cooperation, in my mind, AIADR may also pay more attention to develop the multilateral cooperation and to promote to build the multilateral mechanism for global or regional ADR. In such process, AIADR is definitely playing a leading role. I think so.
To hear that. Mr. Mark?
Yes, thanks for posing the question. Roma was not built in one day, like ICC, which has already more than 100 years history and has developed a long time until reaching the existing capacity and coverage in the world. So there should be a lot of challenges ahead along the ADR dimension, but we are all positive for the future of AIADR, the Institute. Thank you.
Malcolm? Dr. Malcolm.
Well, we've taken several first steps and second steps, and I think the important thing for us to do now is to consolidate those steps and to have a very coordinated walk forward, building on some of on the foundation that we've already laid. And I think what is good about AIADR is the preparedness to make adjustments as we go along. So the minds are not closed, the avenues are not closed, and the opportunities are there, and as they come up, we will take advantage of them as they arise. And one of the things that I would say, though, which is critical, is that every institution like the AIADR, as any other institution, requires good public support and media support and related support. So I think as we go further on, we have now passed that hump of trying to get the infrastructural issues right. I think we have to now find a way to start getting the message spread a little louder and further than it has been, that we're doing some things right, we're getting them right, and we're going to have to start engaging a little more in events like this, quite frankly, and others, which allow for the public to see more of what we're doing. There's no point in having the best candle in the world if it is hid somewhere where nobody can see it or smell what it is producing. So we're going to have to ensure that the aroma, which is beautiful coming from the AIADR, is made more readily available to others so they can smell it, be part of it, and come about to give the sort of support that is required as the institution continues to build itself.
I'm sure with all of you, great councils who are involved in AIADR, we will definitely manage to go that notch even more higher in the years to come. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, can we just maybe have parting words?
Yeah, parting words is basically is that please come and participate in our activities. Please do contribute because it cannot be a one-way street. And of course, don't be afraid. One thing is that we have very young interns working in the secretariat and created a lot of traction. And then when we go to China, we talk to people. They are very, very interested in the institute. They are seeing how they can get value from us. It's the same also in India. So I think please, we must actually increase the numbers in our institute as members. I think that is one of the key things because that membership represents revenue to us and also strength.
Thank you, Better, for that. Any of the other panelists have any parting words?
Well, I think, in my mind, and more ADR institutions are emerged and doing their own business. You know, the competition between the different AIADR institutions is an undebated fact. So in my mind, I always think the competition by itself calls for cooperation. So the AIADR institutions need to strengthen cooperation, and we will make the AIADR big cake so that we can win-win. I believe the AIADR will play an important role in this regard. Thank you.
That's a very good point. It's a cooperation with other institutions instead of looking at them as competition. Yeah. Anybody else? Dr. Malcolm, any parting words?
We haven't spoken much about the courts and the general system that most persons get into. And I think that one of the things that there's a space for everybody, and there's a space for greater cooperation, including with our courts, including with our traditional justice systems. You know, we very often speak about the services like what AIADR offer as being alternative justice systems. I am of a view that we have a single justice system designed to serve everybody, and we really have to genuinely promote multi-door activities. And so the hope is that as the work of the AIADR continues, the more traditional justice system arrangements through the courts, through our ministries of justice and so on, will latch onto more of that and provide greater resources in the best interest of the publics that are served. And I think once that starts to happen, we will see the benefits to everybody. And I think at that point, particularly that aspect of education that AIADR has already started to do so well, you're going to see that coming through. Because one of the things we find, you know, is that, and we see it every day, that there are many persons who are out there, and I like to put it in this way when I speak. I think there are too many jacks doing what masters should be doing. It's something I see all the time. And that comes down very often to the fact that persons very often are called upon to provide services where they're not adequately prepared for offering the quality and type of service that is required. And until we get to the point of what we're doing here, which is to ensure that you have persons who are upskilled and better able to provide what is required, you will have gaps. You will have the jungle justice coming in persons being unhappy with what the results are that they get, and then starting to take things in their own hands. So we're doing much more than simple dispute resolution, quite frankly. We're also in the field, without even thinking about it, of dealing with social arrangements and ensuring that we maintain peace and love in our communities and so on. And I hope that in that more holistic way, we will find a way for greater cooperation, including with our state entities. And then through that, AIADR can continue to do what it has been doing and to do it even better, which is to develop much better and more tailored training and related services to ensure that we're able to raise the bar a little higher. Our intention is not to stay below the bar as it currently exists. Our intention is to raise the bar even higher and at all times try to go above the bar as we created. So I'm hopeful, and I think I've seen signs that say we can do that, but we do require public support. We do require greater collaboration. We do require all the things that have been spoken about in the context of saying, ultimately, this is not just about trying to ensure the riches of any particular entity or anything at all, but to ensure that we live in communities where we can be safe, in communities where we can be respectful towards each other, and in communities where we can feel a sense of justice. You know, people want justice, and it must be provided through multi-door and other facilities, including through the AIADR. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Ma?
Thank you, Sanvit. I just simply echo the saying that more collaboration and cooperation between the AIADR Institute with the other arbitration institution to enhance the development of AIADR and also ADR. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank everyone for participating and taking these questions. I am in awe with all of you, the good work that you have done, and lots to learn here. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Dr. Christopher. I know you said 12 hours behind us. God knows what your early wee hours of the day. Mr. Ma and Dr. Wu, thank you from China. And of course, our president, Dr. Sundaraju. Thank you very much. And everybody, thank you for coming, listening virtually and in presence here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and
Thank
gentlemen.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of our fireside chat. First and foremost, I would like to thank the moderator and the panelists for a very insightful session on the history, growth, and the trajectory of AIADR. So we look forward to the exciting things that we have up ahead. And on that note, we shall now take a short break till 4:30 p.m., where we will begin the AIADR 6th AGM. So for those of you who are attending virtually, you have the option of going out of the meeting and then coming back in by about 4:25 p.m. as we need to make sure that there is a quorum. Or if you also have the option of just staying in the meeting until 4:30 p.m. where we will begin the AGM. On that note, I would like to invite our moderator and panelists for a short coffee session as well as the guests. Thank you.
Testing, Jonathan, can you hear me? Testing. Very soft. Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Can, I can hear you.
Can you hear now? Can you hear? Hello?
Can.
All right, great.
Any echo?
A bit, wait, maybe softer, wait. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Can hear.
Any echo?
Oh, okay, all right.